Here real quick. Nothing against you if you're watching this. If I send you here, it's nothing against you. This is just because I've gone over this too many times and I don't want to really go over it again. So I'm going to make a video here because if you ask me what a coin wants to do, I have to look at all of this. And then this is why I've just been right for the last month, maybe even more so accurate. You can even see the streams. It's arguably 100% for some of these things. But it's not where it's going to go, what it's going to do. It's just what's a good point to buy in. And I think that's not hard to be right about if you're just trying to look at a good entry point and a good exit point, and if you just avoid um, points that are just odd, which is what we'll see today with Apple and some other things. So let's start with Bitcoin here. What is this? Is this really Bitstamp? Okay, let's get rid of this. I don't need this at all. So if you're going to ask me about a coin, let's go with like one of the most biggest things here, I suppose, would be the week. Let's just show the week on Bitstamp so I don't have to zoom back out. Pretty nice, decent, nice stuff with the hulls. This is how I trade. I look for ends on top of stuff. You'll see that. Another thing, we have this here, start January 15th. We can see extension, even if it's before, that's fine. Extension up, extension. We're not extending nearly as far. I think this is the 175, something like that. I think this is 4236. So anyway, so the point is we're on the bottom side of this, and let's show some of the week where it is. So we had great finishes for the week and the month. I think this week still has a chance. The main thing is we ended right above the target, $4 above. We wanted to see it end at not here, but is this the one? Yeah, we should see it. Yeah. So it opened up at 37,914. We wanted to see 37,910. That made me a little bit bullish on it, or I thought it gave it to the point where if this gets pushed up, it can look bullish, which I do think it did when it was up. So the inverse of it, we look here, we can still end here and look bullish. We can still end somewhere here, transfer over, and be bullish. Most likely thing on this looks like we'll come down all the way to 33,600 or 33,700. And on the month, we also ended above, which I think we can end this month up here and still look bullish. It looks like the most likely spot to bounce down here would probably be around the same spot, 33,000, about 800, same thing. So the issue kind of is that everything else looks like poop. So we'll kind of see this on the smaller time frames. So we kind of extended far out. There's no real basis for this. This is a nice hit, decent extension. If we look at the bottom side, it's almost the same amount as it is on the top side. Let me get, this is what's the median? I think this is the median right here. This is another line. I just don't feel like putting it back, so I'll leave it. So if we see on the 4 hour here, we see this hitting up here. We can see this down here as well. Makes sense. Bearish pressure, you're going to have a little bit extra. And we bounce here with the sells. So when you ask me about a not crypto, or if you ask me about an altcoin, something that's not Bitcoin, if you ask me about something that's Bitcoin, or if you ask me about something that is a stock, I will generally tell you the same thing. We're in a big trend. I don't really care what the stock's doing on its own. I'll have to see. But so let's look at some of these points. Don't want to point them out anymore. So this right here was my initial buying point. I think I sold out here. Another possible buying point was here. I didn't know it was going to jump up. Whatever, you look at streams, I don't care. The point is that I knew this was good. But my initial thing was kind of let's try to find a position. We see the 200 SMA. The idea that we're not going to hit there. One of the nice things on the hour, I believe, or no, it wasn't the hour. So besides that, it looked nice, and it looks like, I guess, I don't know if it's Adam and Eve or what the heck you call it, but this looks nice. But the point about this, where I got in the position, was based off of Bitcoin here. So on the 4 hour here, Bitcoin didn't, to me anyway, didn't really have anything for it. Let me adjust this so it's correct. Okay, so this didn't really have anything for it. There wasn't really anything to tell here. I didn't really know why it got bought here initially. Maybe it was something on the week or the month. Maybe I could see that. But the point is we can kind of see on the 15 why it was a little weird that it came up. We can see that these lines really are respected. So we see our big drop down. We can see on the 15, big drop down, evens out even more, ends here, and we can see this nice smooth transition back up. And we can see here how it pretty much started under and then pretty much kind of got pushed away from it. And we can also see the second it touched here, we had a huge increase in sell pressure. But people were just buying it. So maybe it was something on the week or the month. My point here is I didn't really understand at the time, and I really didn't like it. So it would make sense that a lot of this really is a dead cat bounce. For me personally, I wanted to see this come up here. And once this didn't come up here, I thought this wasn't good anymore. I think the last day was, if we just put something here, there wasn't really a lot left. So on the 1 hour, I did notice something here, how So if we look here on the 1 hour, this was my last chance. I think I feel like it was more aggressive. I think it was to this one right here. Yeah. So this was my last chance, pretty much one right here, because the wedge is pretty much the last spot. So if we could end up here, that'd have been great above the 1 hour, and I think it could have pushed up. But we can see some general things with this 207 million, this line, touch and here, touch and here, touch and here. So we don't end above, and the times we do end above, we usually come down. So we haven't really ended close to it. We really haven't ended where the line is here, and we're ending, or more importantly, starting slightly above it, because then the support's right there to buy on. It's a nice, easy stop loss. It's an easy place to purchase it. And you're generally, in my opinion, going to have the most power pushing up. So that's usually what I look for. It's usually a good entry point kind of thing. So we kind of see that we don't have it any of these places here. And then we get this, it comes all the way down. This makes sense. But the other problem here is we end under it, which I really didn't like. We do end over this, like a little bit over this for the first time in a while, I think, on the 4 hour, which I mentioned I thought was interesting here, but we just didn't end the 4 hour above it. So I think this is another thing that had a little bearishness on this point. So it really seems like it is just turning out to be a bear, both whatever. I don't care. I don't remember which way it is. It doesn't matter to me. The specific lingo doesn't matter. I think like a bear flag, but excuse me. But this kind of gives some ideas about some of these points. And like I said, on the 4 hour, I think I mentioned this. So we'll see the initial point here. We first come into this right here, rejected, rejected. We first end into this. This is when I went bullish, and this is, you can see, the 28th on last Friday at 3 o'clock. And if we look at AMD and some of these other ones, we'll have to do the 30-minute to get the 3. So this is pretty much the same entry point, as you can see. So Bitcoin finally gave a little bit more of a sign to the overall market, which I really liked. And I think we also got into, no, I don't think I did it here. Maybe one of these days I got into a Mara position. I don't remember where. I don't really care. So this was nice here, and we can also see an Apple around. I don't know if Apple actually did it around the same time. I don't want to show it for here. That's not the thing. I could show it for GME also. The point is, if you look at this specific bounce point, just on my pitchfork, maybe it's just this anyway, and just that it's good and it's a 7-year trend. But these places, you can definitely see a lot of action, but you can also, let me get rid of this now. You can also see a lot of action like here when we get rejected, and also here when we come back up on the 4 hour, or any hour really. It doesn't matter. It's all relatively close. I usually like the 4 hour for this, but we can see. So if we look at this spot, like let's say 20th January, let's just do this. I just didn't want to. So let's find something like GME real quick. So if we find GME, whoops, that's why I didn't want to do it. Let's see, it's going to take longer. So what was this time? So this was the 20th around 11. So if we look at the 20th around 11 on some of these other ones, we can see, I don't remember what this was, 20th around on the 11th. Is that around the same stuff? No, that's the 26th. So let's see, 20th around 11. So was this it? Was it really the 20th around 11? Yeah, that would make sense. The other one's a 4 hour. Okay, that's because the other one's a 4 hour and it has all that stuff in one. But yeah, we can pretty much just see it falling off, hits all the way down here, and a lot of this stuff went in tandem, and we can probably see, I think it was like 1500 one of these days. I think this was the day it dropped. Anyway, I'm not going to try to find all of them. The point is, I think we have another one here. I think this is when Bitcoin went up to strike near the median, the 26 around here. Let's see. That should be right around here, I believe. Yeah, 26. So a lot of this stuff will line up at 2 o'clock. Yeah. So a lot of this stuff lines up. I guess the easiest, kind of easier way to do it would be like this, right? So we can see, whatever. Let's see. 30-minute. So we can actually see here. Let's see if we can find a similar time frames. So we can essentially see here, this gets close to it. Obviously, it's going to have bearish pressure. And then, as this hits its top, boom, this starts to come down. And we can probably see, I don't know, I think this did do it when market's open. I'm not sure. Let me see. I don't know if this did it while the market was open. I think, yeah, the market was closed here. That was a Saturday. So let's show some other things for the current day in a sense. Let's show some of these correlations with Apple itself. And one of the reasons why I didn't buy in this, I didn't like it. So we can see, so how do we want to put this? So I guess the easiest way, the most important thing to start the day off is kind of AMD here. So AMD ended at a really nice spot with its 4 hour, 200 SMA, and just where I have, it's just where I have my fib. So I just like this spot. It ended at a really nice place. I mean, you could probably draw a line here and it would look nice too. Um, but the point is, so we end in a really great spot here. It gets bought all the way up to here. We also have some targets on the day, I believe, up here, reasons to sell. And I think it hit all the way up at 132. So it makes sense that we're going to come down. So we start coming down the day. Where are we going to come down to? I'm not really sure. Let's check. One of the things we have in the 1 hour, we also do see a nice, interestingly enough, interesting only really because like it just started here, so it's just kind of interesting that it started right under it. Anyway, so I'd like to see it hit here, and so this was my first kind of initial place for a possible buy. But also, if we refer to Apple at the same time, we can see something interesting with Apple as well. I've been looking at Apple on its four. I don't remember how I got to here, but over the last couple of days, probably it's somewhere in stream. It's all chronological in a sense. So we can kind of see some interesting things here. So first it was the 1 hour. So we come up in here and we start. This is another thing we end in, find a little bit support. So there's a possible entry point. This is pretty nice too, but I really from here I'd like to see some upwards momentum. So at the same time, I also noticed that the 4 hour was, excuse me. I also noticed that the 4 hours in the same range. But if you look at this, you can really see that we fail to kind of say we're over it. So this starts under it, starts over it, but then this really just falls through and ends under it, starts under it, ends over it, and we finally get a nice push here, and a nice reason to kind of just push it up. And it does look like it's starting to form some nice consolidation in this area. My second issue here, though, is that we ended this right here. I think we needed at the end of the day to either end it here at 1784 to confirm that it's the buyers here are like it's I don't know. I could say whatever, but I just want it to be over the area of where the rest of the price action was. I feel like that's more confirmation that we want to move upwards. But the issue is that we didn't. So then I wanted to see it end down here, and essentially, we'll see some stuff. So if we pull up Bitcoin, we'll see some of these bring downs too. And so Bitcoin looked a little sketchy around this time. So if we revert to Bitcoin and on the 1 hour, I'll just do this quickly just so it looks like I'm not trying to manipulate stuff. The 4 hour is way off. The day is all the way up top. The 2 hours all the way down here. The 1 hour is what was pushing it up here, and the 500 was close. The 30, 15, 5 were all above. So this was the only real next hull that was there. And we can kind of see here on the 11th hour that we hit here, and this also lines up with AMD's initial bounce. So that was nice with AMD's initial bounce. What I also wanted to see, though, was Apple's bounce on the 4 hour here, which didn't come into, I think, 11:30. So we see 11:30, and then this right here is AMD's bounce on the 375 double hole right there, and a confirmation at this average that, in this level that we're good to push up. So we can kind of see the strength and how AMD also pushed off of that. And we can kind of see on this 11:30, if we zoom in a little bit to the 3, we can see how we really never came back down. I think it would have been like here, which would have been nice. And you can just see this, it would have just been nice anyway. I mean, if we put a trend here or something, even if we put a trend here or whatever, it just would have been nice. And it would have hit just the trend line. So it's not about the average specifically. The average, I think, are just an easy way to see stuff. But we can look at AMD ever since then, and it's really just a lot of confusion about what's going on. So we get this 130, I think, switch over somewhere around here, with the new 4 hour on it. And was it really? Let me see. Feel like. Okay, so this makes sense. Yeah. So we switch over to the 130 here. And this is fine to come down, and I'd expect it to, because I think Apple was in a place where we wanted to see this come down, on the 4 hour and then come down to confirm. So we're waiting for this to come down to confirm. It makes sense for Apple to come down to confirm too. What didn't make sense is that this then never pushed down. And we can just see from here, really, the switch over here, this kind of has a direction down and a bounce. I mean, especially we see on the 1 hour, there's no direction here. And so this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to buy into this. I was saying in the stream, like, why would I buy? Like, it's fine not buying into this. Maybe this pushes up, but it's not worth it. And maybe it comes down to this area and it starts in a nice place. I'd be more so bullish on it now. And I think this is kind of why it's getting sold down also. And I think that's also translating into why Bitcoin's getting sold down. And like I said in the beginning about the targets, the week and the month look like they can afford to whatever. I'm not going to hurt people's eyes, but the week and the month look like they can afford to come down a lot. I guess to a little extrapolate on that a little bit. Sorry, I'm just trying to fit this all in a 20-minute video, and I think it's a decent amount of information. I don't want to make another one. So the issue is those two target points are essentially like here and pretty much like here. And the issue is these are here. There's another set on the 2 hour right here. Um, and then this is like here. So the issue is we're gonna have a bounce here. So I'd be bearish at this point, or I'd be weary. I could expect a bounce here that would make sense with this, higher low. And I definitely think it could try to go back up. I definitely think that's possible. But for me to be bullish, the next kind of bullish entry would be the entry around this point. And I guess for altcoins, let me see. Let's wait till 16 minutes so I have a timestamp. So altcoins, you have to take this into account. I think it's important to take Apple into account because it's such a big part of the S&P and also the Nasdaq. Maybe it's in the Dow too. I don't remember. But AMD is also really nice too. I guess in another sense, I think a lot of this also came because we had these nice earnings on stuff like AMD and Google, and then we had bad price action around it. So when people ask me about altcoins, where do I get into an altcoin? I don't know. But where I would get into altcoins is the same kind of strategy you've seen so far. I called this here last night in the stream. I would have preferred this to come down here, but this pushed up. My issue with this, and I've kind of been saying about a lot of this, is this went up here. So it really just depends what you're doing, I guess. But this was a 5% increase. So if you just bought here, 5%. The issue is like that was what? So one, two, three, four. One, two, the bottom of three. One, two, the bottom of three. So this thing actually was up here when it started shooting up. So when Bitcoin started going down, that went up to Bitcoin. So I mean, if you want to make more Bitcoin, okay, but if Bitcoin goes to crap value, you're just losing a lot of value. So I think it's important to look at both the Bitcoin value and the USDT or USD pair for whatever you're looking at. Another example is, so we're going to have here, we can see on the 4 hour, we're going to see the same thing for a lot of these. It really fails to actually open up into any of these. And if we have enough time, we'll see where it does open up into this, and it really just finally gets some strength. So we see this is kind of trending down. This is okay. I don't really care. What worries me about BNB to Bitcoin, why I always think it's worth it, is that my SMA is down here, fib levels down here. And I think this looks like a pretty good level too. Without even like, I would still want to put a line here. Like this looks nice. Maybe one here too, or somewhere in between. But this looks like a really nice area. So we see the same thing with the holes, start fall in. This is a little sketchy. Luckily, it does end under, so there's a little bit of a sell signal, sell signal, sell signal. This looks pretty bullish. I'd like this also. This looks pretty nice as an entry point. I probably would have gotten out somewhere around here. This is just some weird movement. I'm not a big fan of this, especially this is pretty bullish and this is sketchy, but with enough selling, I could see this is bullish too. I wouldn't have messed with any of this if I was trading it with it because I feel like some of this older stuff starts to invalidate it. But I mean, if you wanted to and just be to straight up about it, it's not the best kind of hit here, really. It's not the best. This is a little bit of extension, but this isn't too bad. Um, it's not too bad, but and the nice thing is we can kind of see it here. But the point is on this on the long term, the targets are all at the bottom. So usually when I see stuff like this, usually it's Bitcoin's going to do a big movement up, big movement down. So we see that we have 17% possible loss. So if we have 17% possible loss, maybe that'll translate into this just, crapping out. So we could look at it in two ways. Maybe Bitcoin's going up, maybe Bitcoin's going down. So the Bitcoin value will dramatically drop generally when Bitcoin shoots up and then when Bitcoin shoots down. Usually when Bitcoin hits decent support and it's known to sit in an area, that's when a lot of people will push into these alts. DigitStyle is the only one I've ever known to be for in 2018 to be a direct inverse correlation to Bitcoin and Ethereum and a lot of cryptos in general. So really we have to assume if this is going to go down another 20%, this essentially has to somehow maintain that. So if Bitcoin's going to the bottom and that's causing this to drop, here's 20%. So that puts us here. So maybe we bounce somewhere in this area. But I mean, this has a long way to go before it hits any real support. Anyway, that's just a couple things. I'm just going to make this quick video. I hope people liked it. It's long. I talked quick, but I think it's a decent amount of information. Stay healthy, stay safe. Take care, guys. Good luck with your trades. Oh, that was a wild 20 minutes.